A local organization honors mothers in the Rockford area who have children with a disability. 23 News reporter Alyssa Reamer talks to one mom about why events like Sunday afternoon's Tea Party helps her be a stronger advocate for people with disabilities.
Good food, dancing music, and treating yourself were just a few things on some moms' minds who took the chance on themselves Sunday, thanks to a celebration by the Rockford Branch of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People.
The system isn't necessarily set up and designed to help children with disabilities.
Dr. Alicia Robinson knows all too well the challenges being a mom to a child with disabilities brings.
For the past 6 years, she has been paralyzed from the neck down from a car accident. So I've noticed that it's harder to get medical services because of her disabilities.
That's why Robinson was one of the guest speakers at a tea party Sunday afternoon at the Standard in Rockford. She shares her personal experiences being a single mother and how to encourage the community to advocate better for people with disabilities.
I really want people to see what it means and how it feels to be a mother with a child with disabilities and the struggles that I go through on a daily basis.
NAACP Rockford Branch President Rhonda Greer Robinson says the Tea Party was inspired by Mother's Day, and she wants to acknowledge what women go through.
It's important to understand the struggle, how they manage to go to work and to come home and to deal with everything else. Women, we are strong.
Dr. Robin Scott says events like this raise awareness and increase inclusiveness.
Other families should also be included in the community and valued and also be receiving that support.
Psychologist Dr. Shiraz Tata says she attended Sunday's event to share importance of self-care for moms.
Moms of children with disabilities really are stretched quite thin, and depending on the needs of their children, may not have much time and energy to put aside.
Deep breaths, smelling a flower with your child, or listening to your favorite songs while taking care of your child are just some additional ways Dr. Tata says that moms can take care of themselves.
Several people at Sunday's Tea Party all share the same message for moms who have a child with a disability. Never go through the journey alone and reach out for help when needed.